hello.
Hello.
Hello. It's us. It's me. And it's Mauler. And we're here. And I'm still drunk, Pin, actually. I just realized I didn't change my, icon. I'm all right with that, though. I'm happy to stay as drunk Pin for the remainder.
It was funny. I was on FNT and I joined them as Long Pin, and they were like, "Why are you called that?" And as I was explaining it, I changed it back. And then I think Gary was like, "That's a good idea. Let's all do it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they changed it back again. I was like, "Fine."
Damn it, Gary! You're stealing my ideas.
Wow.
That's okay. I don't mind. But anyway, well, this is the last orders for open bar number 80. We're into the 80s now. It's a whole new decade for us.
Good Lord, yeah.
Big changes. But as always, we had a bunch of super chats left over from the other night. So let's see if we can answer them for everybody. The first one is from Bandit Red, who said, Drinker, as a dub enjoyer myself, I'm curious to know which version of Attack on Titan you're watching. Is it a sub or a dub? And if you would recommend to Mauler. So this is probably going to make Mauler real mad, because I think you're a bit of a purist when it comes to subtitles. But normally I tend to go for subtitles, but in this case, it was set to dub by default. Like, I got it on box set. And the dub's actually pretty good. So I was happy enough to stick with it, particularly because I can like do other things while I'm listening to it, you know, and I don't have to be constantly like staring at the screen fixedly. So, yeah, in this case, Attack on Titan, I think the dub is perfectly fine. I think the voice actors do a really good job, and I am enjoying the show so far. So, when I get to the end of season 1, I'll probably do a review of it. Andy Laser 3000 said, Bone Bridger, love. There you go. It was nice to have Bone Bridger on. Frozen in the 80s says, Hail Drinker, thank you for recommending Blue Eye Samurai. It was fantastic. My question is, were you surprised with the amount of sex and nudity they were allowed to show? Blacken them teeth, ladies. I didn't know this was a thing, actually, in feudal Japan, that they use some kind of weird dye, I guess, or staining agent to make their teeth go black. If you were a well-to-do lady and you wanted to attract the men, you had to have black teeth.
Oh, it's kind of the opposite nowadays, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they come naturally in Scotland now, so, you know, that's
not impressive to have that.
Yeah, they're not rare anymore. They called them Black Pearls, I think, which is kind of a cool name. But yeah, they don't have a huge amount of sex. Like, there's an occasional bit here and there. There is quite a bit of nudity, though, male and female. And I was surprised they put it in, but I suppose when it's equal, fair enough. And yeah, it's just another part of the show, I suppose. It's kind of surprising the first time it happens, but also quite cool. Yeah, I do recommend. Mindless Meat said, Born Bridger, Pin, and the assistant Frank, good to see you on Open Bar. Well, it's good to have them on. Night King 1. I was laughing throughout that entire end scene because all I could think of was on Deadly Ground when Steven Seagal literally beat the hate out of a man.
beat the hate out of him.
Clayton Payer says, Marvel worked with indigenous people, my wife's family, for Kahori in the What If series, but Disney created a tokenized indigenous character in Echo. There you go. Yeah, I didn't get a... I don't know about you, Mauler, and I don't imagine either of us are experts on Native American culture, but I didn't feel a whole lot of authenticity from Echo.
No. I don't know what I got barely anything from Echo at all.
Yeah, it's just...
I think I said to Fringing Rags, it's like biting into a bread sandwich, but then you look down and there's no bite. And you're like, wait, what? It's just nothing. You just didn't do anything at all. And you're like, wow.
Yeah, I think we likened it to just content for the sake of making content, and really feels like it.
It's a really sad place we're at, you know?
It is, and damn, I would be curious to see the original cut of this show, because it was meant to be 8 episodes and they cut it down to 5. What gems lay within those 3 extra episodes that we missed out on? Because it's a show where essentially almost nothing happens. You know, there's a lot of Echo riding around on her bike. There's a lot of her wandering around places and looking grumpy. There's a few token fight scenes and just not a whole lot of plot. And I just feel like There really should have been a lot more going on with Kingpin if they were going to make this work as an antagonist. He just kind of shows up and asks her to join him, and then she says no, and then he gets angry and takes some hostages. It's not a terribly complex story.
Yeah. It's barely a story.
Sam Wallace Art says, angry bald man beats ice cream with a little clown boy. As I like this part. He did yeah, he got pretty serious with that ice cream vendor. Yeah.
It's like the one scene some people think is okay, but I mean, even that one I thought was a little bit silly because it's just like, what kind of ice cream man like belittles a child who can't hear? It's just,
yeah,
it's just like, okay, fine.
Just another token evilman. Robert Watson says Daredevil versus Echo was worse than see no evil, hear no evil. I mean, it would be cool to see them work together and just like be completely unable to communicate. Like he can't see her sign language and she can't hear what he says. But yeah, I guess we're not going to get that for a while. Night King 1 says Graham Greene is the grandfather. As the grandfather was good. I'm not entirely convinced he was good. Like, I like Graham Greene as an actor. You know, he was fantastic in Dances with Wolves, but in this, just kind of seemed like he didn't really care. He was just there to, you know, stick around, I suppose, have fun. Kevin O'Neill. So who's the Mandalorian going to be about? Because it sure as fuck won't be about Mando. Who says that Mando's even going to be the Mandalorian in this one? It could just as easily be Bo-Katan. I
suppose if we're getting the Mando and Grogu movie, I guess they're going to have to move pieces in the way to set up that movie because, you know, wow, can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Star Wars is saved again. The Funny Hatter says, yay, more Mandalorian and Grogu. I definitely didn't want to see a Knights of the Old Republic movie. Definitely didn't want that. So I know, I mean, who would, you know? We can just milk these played out characters for even more money. Mizzy Moore says, saw your One Life review. He was my neighbor. His house in the film is next to mine. Holy shit. I probably had... one problem that I had with the film was his wife in real life didn't know what he had done until like 40 years after the fact. She found the folder and then learned, not told. That is pretty fucking cool. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't go with that. That sounds more neatly fitting into like the, you know, the Hollywood mold, I suppose, or at least, you know, a dramatic mold where she discovers the folder that he kept and, you know, asks him like, what's all this about? And that's what's, you know, triggers the whole storyline. But no, fair enough. A. Marcellus says, if you gents are interested, I would recommend the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 animated movie. It came out a few days ago. The animation could be better, but it was enjoyable and better than recent live-action superhero stories. I've heard some people talking about this. Don't tend to watch like the DC animated stuff, you know, because I kind of imagine it's for children more, but it'd be nice to think that they produced something good recently. So, hey, fair play.
You get recommendations for them a lot with different eras. It's always, I've seen some here and there, but I still need to see a lot more of them, the animated movies.
Piotr Wozniak says, hello, screw Echo. I've been here for the past 80 years, and I don't think anybody asked this. Can the drinker say purple burglar alarm? Cheers. I mean, apparently I can say it.
He's nailing it now.
Kryptonite for Scottish people or something. We just can't pronounce it. I was going to ask as well, how did you feel about one of the main antagonists being Welsh in Echo?
I didn't even notice. Is that true?
Did you not?
No.
Yeah, you know the henchman dude who's like got the bazooka at the end, and then he gets shot.
Oh, he was Welsh. Damn,
he was Welsh. Like, yeah, he describes the place as lush. I mean, come on, Muller. What more proof do you need?
I could have sworn Lush made it out of just Wales, but that's fair. Well, there's an answer to this, and that is that we did recording coverage for Echo. I'm currently editing it, and the easiest way sometimes it is to avoid copyright is for me to keep it on very low. and so I figured I'd be fine with this show because you know a lot of it is they're not even necessarily having to speak anyway because they sign everything. So I was like, I'll just have subtitles up and I can consume the entire show without having to worry about the music or the anything else crossing over, so everyone can see the full context of everything that we say. But looks like I missed out on the accent because of that. Damn.
Well, there you go. I mean, you could have had a moment of kinship with that guy right there.
I think I did mention that he was one of my favorites just because of the fact that he wanted to blow everything up.
I mean, one sympathizes after watching the show, I suppose. Twin Nightmare says, do you guys think Marvel will ever create a show as good as Netflix's Dark? Cheers, gents. I've heard mixed things about this. Some people like rave about it. Others are like, nah, it wasn't that good.
I've explained to people before, I watched the first 2 seasons and eventually I lost the plot. I couldn't keep up with the show. It got way too complicated for me. It wasn't a thing where I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. It was a thing of, wait, I don't know what's going on. Like, because I can't even track whether or not it's making sense because it gets complicated, that show.
Right, okay.
Very heady, very filled with like all kinds of time travel that you need to be able to well, not even time. Yeah, it is time travel. Fuck, see, I'm already like, my brain's like washed it out. It's you got multiple timelines and things move around and characters at 3 different ages. Like, and I think the more the show goes on, the more timelines you get because there's, I think the basic premise is that there's like a cave that you walk through it and it takes you to like 30 years before or after where you currently are. And with that in mind, you have to juggle a lot, and yeah, I think if I was to watch it a second time, I might be able to do better. But I haven't got really any criticism for the show. I just tell people going in, like, make sure you pay attention.
Okay, that disqualifies me then with my laughably short attention span. Sonny Close says, "Who are the panel's favorite movie scumbags? I'm disqualifying any ones that are played by James Woods." Okay, so movie scumbags. Either villains or just sleazy assholes, I suppose.
Anyone come to mind straight away for you?
Well, I was just thinking there about Biff from Back to the Future. I just, apart from like, when you get that alternate future where it's like nice Biff, I just love how in every like time zone and every reality, like he's just a complete asshole to everyone around him, especially when you get his grandson in the future, like Griff, who's just absolutely insane. He's good fun. He just treats everyone like shit. You do like him, and I think the actor like Thomas F. Wilson that plays him is fantastic. I don't know if you got any.
The guy from Ghostbusters, if he counts, the one that gets in the way of everything. Yeah,
Walter Peck.
That kind of he's like perfect at being the guy who's getting in the fucking way and so easy to hate, sort of thing.
I suppose like the actor, when you mentioned him there, he also plays like Dick Thornburg from Die Hard. And I just thought there, like in 2 movies, he almost gets everyone fucking killed just by like his desperation to get a scoop. It's like, okay, it could be their commentary on like journalists and stuff just being like morally reprehensible assholes, but he plays them really well. So yeah, he'd probably be one too.
A sleeper hit for this category would be Burke from Aliens.
Oh, yeah, not a bad choice.
Absolute piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, he just, he offered to cut Ripley in, and she said no.
I even like the way they kind of sell him as our only friend at the beginning of the film, if you know what I mean. He's like,
he's the only one that's advocating for her.
Yeah. And then when she and as things start to unravel, he's like, oh, I don't know, it's so weird and crazy. Yeah. But by the end of the film, it's the Marines that we really like, and we fucking hate him.
Yeah. I like how even Hicks is willing to kill him as well. Like, he's like, all right, we waste him. No offense, man. It's like, damn, it must be bad.
Dude, I remember when you find out that he's the one that released the alien on him, not just because they were, sabotaging everything he was trying to do, but also to try and incubate an alien for travel. I was just like, oh, fucking hell. You should kill him. Like, that's what a piece of shit. Well, yeah.
Because as Ripley surmised, they would have to, like, he would sabotage all of their cryo tubes as well. So everyone died apart from him and Ripley and Newt. And what a risk he was taking there. So it's like he has to get the facehuggers out, impregnate Ripley and Newt, and then get them aboard the Sulaco, get them into the cryotubes before they hatch and before anyone discovers that they've been infected, and also kill all the Marines. Like, damn,
Yeah,
dude was taking on a lot with that plan.
I think because they did have a time scale, right, in terms of when they were hoping to get rescued. So incubation takes, I want to say in the Alien universe, something like, is it like 2 days, a day? I can't remember.
Well, going by the first movie, it's probably a day or two, yeah.
Because he's out for like a decent chunk of time. I can't remember the exact timeline, and I can't remember if it's consistent either. They might go with the whole like it's changed for everybody, you know, different people, different timelines. But yeah, I think he works it out as being like if we get rescued, we'll end up in cryo, and you know, that'll freeze the development of it, and then he can get out in whatever way he was planning to and kill everybody else. And I'm sure Weyland-Yutani would have rewarded him heavily for that.
Yeah, we need like an Aliens What If series. You know, what if Burke's plan had actually succeeded?
Did you see it when they were announcing like, oh, Marvel what, not Marvel what if, Star Wars what if? It was like, oh, fuck off. Like,
see, there's you know, there's potentially fascinating stories there. Like, you know, what if Anakin had actually defeated Obi-Wan on Mustafar and fucking taken over the Empire? Like, okay, that's pretty cool.
But handled by Disney is like, yeah, this will be fun.
Oh, it's literally going to be like, what if Rey was even more awesome than she was in the movies? Night King 1 says, recommendation, Deep Cover from 1992. Okay, thanks for the recommendation. Sander Brand says, is Disney just a victim of the horrendous ESG rules that big finance demands? So they are just going along to secure money, destroying entertainment? I mean, I've heard this argument before, and, you know, there certainly seems to be merit to it if you're a big studio and you need to take out loans in order to cover your production costs before you can make the money back. But if what you're doing is literally just producing flop after flop, then surely, like, it doesn't even matter how much money you're able to borrow, because you're never going to be able to pay it back because you keep losing even more. You know, unless they have the most forgiving loan terms imaginable, like, ultimately they're just digging themselves even deeper with this stuff. So
I feel that way.
I kind of err on the side of just incompetence, really. Marine V Lad says, on the subject of Star Wars, do you have a favorite Star Wars game? I absolutely don't, because I basically don't play any Star Wars games. Mauler probably knows more than I do.
OG Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the one I think I spent the most time on. I adored just playing in the galaxy. I loved doing all factions, dominating the entire like world as either the Rebels or the Empire or the CIS or the Republic. I thought it was awesome. Though I think the CIS were my favorite team. I loved playing as the droids. They deserve better results. Yeah. What does CIS stand for again? It's the I'm guessing S is system, I is independent. The conglomeration of independent systems, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. A collective. Yeah. I don't know. But they are always my guys of like, I wish we had more story for the separatists, you know, just understand them a bit better.
What was their actual objectives? Did they have a valid reason for believing this? Yeah, it could be good.
They probably did, you know.
Because this is the kind of thing that George Lucas just really let us down on. There was so much of this stuff that played into the plot of the Clone Wars, but it's just like we don't get enough of it. There's just two angst scenes with Anakin.
A couple people have pointed out, but Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and Revenge of the Sith probably should have all like taken place in the Clone Wars. As in, Attack of the Clones is the first film. And then we get a huge during the Clone Wars film that fleshes out Grievous and Dooku.
Yeah,
it just seems like the way to do it. And then the third one can stay the same.
Because if really, like on a character level, all you really need is for Qui-Gon Jinn to get killed and Obi-Wan to have to take over Anakin's training,
which you could do when Anakin's older. But you could also just incorporate that at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars can go on for a long time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think we needed an entire movie of like young Anakin.
Well, Phantom Menace is a bit of a goofy film. It's a
bit.
Words
cannot describe the disappointment I felt in that cinema when I went to see it. Because I genuinely thought, like, this is it. This is my generation's Star Wars. And got to the end of the movie and just thought, what the fuck was that? I
Which
feel like
is
this
funny
film just never
because
got going.
I was a youngman, so I was just like, "Woo! Star Wars is fun."
And
it's funny because
lightsabers go.
I think from what I remember, it would be like, oh, what do you like about Phantom Menace? Like, oh, obviously the Darth Maul fight, the big space battle at the end, the pod racing. And it's like, any character stuff? And it's like, no, not really. It's mainly just action stuff.
Weaponized Autism said, recently saw the scene in Toy Story 3 where the toys accept their fate in the incinerator. I miss when Pixar wasn't afraid to expose its audience to dark ideas. Well, agreed. Yeah, I mean, it's a good scene.
It's a rough scene, that one, yeah.
And yeah, like
in Toy Story movie, they're all like, we're dead.
Well, I mean, this is the fascinating thing about the Toy Story movies. Like, as as other people have pointed out, like on the surface, it's just these goofy adventure movies about toys that come to life. Like, woo, it's fun. But yeah, look beneath the surface, and obviously, it's this real, like, melancholy, sort of poignant journey of loss and moving on in life and losing people and having to say goodbye. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's Pixar at their best. No idea why they felt like they had to make more Toy Story movies after 3.
Money, money, money.
That's it. That's all it is. I think 3 rounded the arc out perfectly. And even then, they were stretching it a little bit because they were kind of playing on the same themes as 2. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, I felt like they'd gone well far enough with 3, but 4 is, I fucking hated 4. What did you think of 4?
Yeah, pointless movie. They really wanted Bo Peep in that.
That was lame as fuck what they did with her.
Yeah, and fucking to see Woody get sidelined in his own movies, or theoretically his own movie, is just pathetic.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's right on brand, obviously, but
a movie-long joke about how Buzz is retarded, and then at the end we have Woody say, "You know what, friends of my whole life, I'm good. You guys go ahead."
Yeah,
I'm gonna go find myself.
Yeah, fucking Christ. Go and meet Thor along the way.
Yeah.
Lord Toxic says, Northern English, huge fan, love the suit. Going to a funeral? Can I come? Cheers on Reacher Season 2. Nice. I still need to watch Season 2. I've heard slightly mixed things about it. Some people say it's awesome. Some people are like, yeah, it's not a patch on Season 1. So I'd be interested to watch it. Marvin Martin says, Disney doesn't care about dollars, it seems. What do you think is the House of Cards scheme agenda going on behind the scenes in Disney and Hollywood? I mean, it's pure speculation from us. Like, we don't know. All we can do is like review the stuff that they actually produce on its own merits or lack thereof.
We got access to some tidbits, but we never know exactly why everything is happening the way that it is, I guess. But
yeah,
Drake is absolutely right. It's so much you can tell from just the things they put out.
It's a fascinating study. Like, this is why, we've talked so much about things like the MCU, about Star Wars, because the destruction of a previously successful brand is not an easy thing to do. It's almost difficult to destroy something with as much popularity as the MCU, and they've pretty much accomplished it now. And so to see that play out, it's quite interesting to delve into how it was done and what the different elements at play were that caused this to happen. Because, yeah, man, from a creative point of view or a pure business point of view, it's fascinating to watch such a high-profile failure.
Yeah.
Night King 1 says, remember in Phase 1 when they got directors with actual styles? They had Jon Favreau for Iron Man and then Joe Johnston for Captain America and Branagh for Thor. Yeah.
Yeah, Whedon for Avengers as well.
Yep. Remember those days. Marine V Lad says, an original Machinima 3D made sci-fi series on YouTube, Odyssey, may be your Star Wars cure drinker. YouTube search Odyssey Killian Wolfsinger. All right, cheers. Thanks for the recommendation. Jay Stoner Supreme says, I'd rather let Jeffrey and his mates run a train on me rather than watch Echo ever again. It's literally already ruined my 2024. Aw, it's only January. There's plenty more terrible stuff to ruin your year.
Yeah, Disney like, wait. We got plenty left. Come on, give us a chance.
Sander Brand. What happened to a Spawn comic? I loved it as a teen. I identified with Al Simmons as a white guy. Can't we go back to that instead of representation? I have no idea. I remember Spawn the movie, I think, but I don't know much about the comics. He also says, "Hail panel with with the success of One Piece. Can we ever get a true Dragon Ball Z live action? Who would you cast? For me, Nappa should be The Rock. Discuss." So that's an interesting question because, as someone who knows precisely fuck all about Dragon Ball Z, I'm not terribly qualified to answer it.
Well, this chat is in luck because I happen to know nothing about it either. So I like that he's like, discuss, lads. That he's still hear us be like, oh.
Sure, sounds fine. Albert Nada Retro says, Kennedy said Star Wars doesn't need men, so I bought a copy of Rogue One and walked away. Don't give your money to people who hate you. Yeah, I mean, fair play. I don't know. Did she say that? Is that a direct quote that can be attributed?
It's not one
to
I've
Catholic
heard, but at this point, you have no idea what's going on anymore for crazy quotes.
Yeah. Marine V Lad says, would you collab with Honest Trailers or pitch meetings? I mean, like, it's like asking a guy in the street, like, oh, so, would you like to meet with Scarlett Johansson? I mean, yeah, I guess. Like,
give it a shot.
Yeah, they're kind of a bigger deal than I am, but I don't know what the hell they would even collab with me on. They've got their thing, I suppose, but yeah, be cool to work with them in some way. Shaker Silver says, Star Wars was not this golden goose before Disney. It was a 6-movie series with 2 good ones made 35 years ago, the rest being crap. You just grew up.
Whoa. That's some history rewrite there. It doesn't matter how bad the prequels are. They made shit tons of money and people loved them, and they caused like a cultural explosion for Star Wars. And not the Phantom Menace, the sequels are evidence of how much money Star Wars could make, because imagine if they were good.
Imagine that, yeah.
And you could say, like, well, yeah, imagine if the prequels are good. It's like, exactly. Imagine if the prequels are really, really good. Imagine how much money they would have made.
There is an alternate reality out there, yeah, where George Lucas did a
I think that's evidence that Star Wars' strength as an IP was that it could survive, like, films that aren't very... Like, the prequels, I don't think it mattered, ultimately, how bad they were or how much better they could have been to Star Wars' health overall. I think Star Wars is doing pretty good after the prequels, but the sequels, like TLJ did something that not many bad films can do to a whole like juggernaut IP. And then of course they've run it down with TV shows, which was something we talked about when they started doing it. It's like, gotta be careful. Do you want to turn Star Wars into a TV show IP?
Yeah.
This is very different from what it was. I think even Star Wars Theories talked about how it should have been one movie and then a gap and then one movie and then a gap, and then it makes Star Wars feel more like an event, which is what the MCU used to feel like once upon a time.
I mean, here's a question actually, because they've got all these Star Wars projects that are announced, movie projects. They theoretically are going to go into production this year. It'll be another year at least before they actually release. So you're talking 2025. So that's going to be 6 years since the last actual Star Wars film. Now, like, do you think creatively and like culturally there'll be almost like a separation of this new batch of movies from the Disney sequel movies, or will it just all
point of view of the watcher? Or
yeah, do you think people will say like, well, this is like almost like a new beginning for Star Wars, regardless of how good it actually is? It's almost just like it's a whole different like era of Star Wars almost.
What's kind of weird is I think if I asked my mum and dad, like, what's the last Star Wars thing that came out, I'm not even sure they'd be able to reference Rise of Skywalker. I think they would just be like, I have no fucking clue anymore. I don't know what's going on over there. And then if I asked my sister, who is much more, intercut with media, she'd be like, oh, it's one of the TV shows, I guess. Probably something to do with the bounty hunter guy, I think. And then if you ask someone like us, we'd be able to tell you specifically. It was like, it was Ahsoka, and it was awful. Like, so you'd be like, so this new movie was, let's say it comes out and it's called, the Rise of Rey or something, re-rising. It's just called Rey, whatever. We'd be like, can this have the less of a more of a disconnection from the nastiness that's come so far, the destruction of the IP? It's just like, I don't know. I guess there's a huge combination of those different people. Whereas before, it felt like everybody was almost unified in understanding what was next for Star Wars. and went to sort of take a look at it, which again feels in parallel with the Marvel movies. Like I said, my sister has no fucking clue what Marvel movies even come out anymore. She can't follow it, and she's not interested, which I think is representative of the average person too.
Oh, I mean, for sure. And I think with Marvel, obviously, because they've maintained that constant stream of product, especially on the movie front, like there's always going to be that continuous association. It's all part of that same universe. Whereas, yeah, the big difference with Star Wars is like when you leave a big gap like this of 6 years, potentially more, you start to like forget almost, or the general audience forgets what came before and starts to form a new association. It'd be interesting, I guess, to see how it's perceived.
Yeah, like, is there a chance here that Star Wars not only lost the assumption of like, let's see what happens next in the world of the OT and the prequels, that now it's like people don't even think about the OT at all?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. It'll eventually get to that point where the people who actually watched it back in the day have either drifted away from the fandom or fucking died of old age. Like, eventually that will happen.
When it comes to like box office predictions, a lot of us try to use as many sort of examples that exist in similar eras and similar genres and similar, maybe creatives. But a lot of it, I think, is a little bit of like, lick the finger, put it in the air, sort of be like, I think it's going to be, but like all of us seem to believe that the next Star Wars film is going to crash and burn at the box office. And it's like, why? And it's like, I don't know, man. It just feels like they've lost any and all prestige and goodwill that Star Wars had. They killed it all.
Yeah.
And the only reason that it's not more official in that sense is because we haven't seen one release in a while. And I'd be as scared as they currently are, probably, if I had to release a Star Wars movie now.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, TFA, that was like a guarantee, whatever you did.
I mean, yeah, like it was coming off the back of like, again, like we look back to simpler times there, like people who were quite disgruntled with the prequels. And wow, there's been a lot of reevaluation there. But yeah, this movie that suddenly seemed so energetic and pacey and like lively and like making all these references to the originals. Like, yeah, it was the safest possible choice.
Something that really helped the prequels out was that it was a badly done IMO story. You'd be like, there's a story there. It's just, it's got issues. While, like, what the fuck was Echo about? No one even knows. And then the sequels were completely disconnected from each other. There was no consistent story. Rian Johnson has said, like, he likes to have films that have endings. TFA was nothing but a beginning. You're going to see what I mean? Like, this is the worst combo ever. A film that has absolutely no substance and is waiting for its sequel, and then a film that doesn't want anyone to carry on from it. And then the third one, what even was that? A fever dream?
That was just a desperate fucking repair job. Or attempted repair job.
So yeah, because like we talk about, so how do you fix the sequels? It's like you fucking restart them is what you do. But the prequels, I could sit here all day talking about how we could tweak the prequels to make them awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the difference, isn't it? There's something there worth salvaging. Albert Nada Retro says, I hate Gal Gadot and I hated her Wonder Woman. That's a bold statement. Like, how many people hate Gal Gadot? Like,
I don't hate her, but I don't rate her at all.
No, I mean, it's like I can recognize that she is not an especially talented actress, but also still like her because she seems quite nice.
Did you ever read the interview Joss Whedon did, the last one before like he's gone completely radio silent?
Oh, that was the one where it was weird and
it was like, weird.
He was kind of not really apologizing for anything.
No, he was saying some stuff that was like, dude, you're gonna get in trouble for this. I don't think he gave a shit because his career was over. But one of the things in there that I thought was so funny was Gal Gadot had said to him like suggestions for Wonder Woman, and that despite the fact that he had at the time been the director of the highest grossing superhero movie of all time, she said to him he has no idea how to make a superhero movie. Which is funny on its own, and then it gets even funnier when you find out that she said that he threatened to make her life like a living hell in Hollywood, or that her career would be threatened. His response when hearing that that's apparently something he said was that, yeah, English isn't her first language.
Oh, yeah.
I just like, what the
fucking
fuck?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like you say, that's just a guy who had no fucks left to give.
Oh,
he knew he was toast. Giant Squid says, Bone Bridger. Yes, that is indeed who we had on. Jay Fraser says, "Hail gents, Mauler, when is Stargrift live?" Drinker, when will you and Theory stream together? Well,
Wow.
next Star Wars product is either Acolyte or Skeleton Crew. Yeah, funny you should ask that. Now, it's from the point of view of people watching this, it'll probably have happened already because I won't be able to get this uploaded until after we've done our stream. But literally directly after we record this, we're going to go and stream with Star Wars Theory. So
Yay.
there you go. Yay! So we're all going to Stargrift together.
Aw.
Tony McDermott says, speaking of Kennedy, did you see the Gizmodo article about her work? I don't think I did, no.
No?
I'll need to look that up later when I've got a little bit more time, but I will indeed review it. Night King 1 says the OG Echo in the comics was good. Yeah, I mean, as far as I understand it, she had the ability to mimic any movement, any attack that anyone else did. She was like Taskmaster, basically. Not exactly an original skill, but
much more appropriate way of using her name than I'm an echo of my ancestors or something like.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
They really had to reach for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Hells says women prefer Grogu over KK self-insert characters. I mean, wouldn't anyone? Because at least he's cute. Like they're just blocks of wood.
I don't know. I like Az's approach of wanting to murder all Grogus.
Yeah. Juan Wick says, in space, no one can hear you woke. That is true.
Oh my god.
427 Arbox says, respectfully disagree, Drinker. What? Well, I don't think you can make a Godzilla fights other monsters movie as truly great as -1. I think you can make one good enough not to taint its legacy or maybe even expand it. I don't know, man. It just devolves into a gimmick at that point. It's like, what new monster can we match Godzilla up against next? And, you know, it feels so out of step with the essence of what Godzilla represents. Like, especially when you look at the original movie back in the 50s. It was obviously all about the specter of the atomic bombings on Japan, the loss of World War II against the Americans, and it was the country's way of reconciling that. Like, it doesn't take much, imagination to see the symbolism at play there. And once you lose that, it just becomes like big giant lizard stomps on stuff. It loses the essence of what made it so compelling, I think, in the first place. And you're going to lose that with Godzilla -2 or whatever the hell they end up making.
I'm even in the camp as well of like, if you're gonna do the monster like wacky schlock film, could you at least do it better than they keep doing it? Which is just absolutely fucking terrible. I'm almost like, can you get Michael Bay to do it? He can at least give us some funny lines and action that's got like a lot of practical shit in it, instead of like the CG messes. And it's crazy because you'd be like, well, what kind of human stuff you expecting when it's just going to be big monsters clashing against each other? And it's like, I don't know, something just vaguely competent. Like we have a character who works in the military who's cowardly and then by the end of the film dies saving someone. Just literally that simple. Can we ever pull something like that off? Or do we have to have like insane plot lines that all of us are scratching our head over trying to figure out what the fuck's going on?
Well, again, as well, like to say that we have giant monsters, okay, that's fair enough, but they have to actually feel like they're giant. Whereas, like, they've got this just crappy, weightless quality to them, like, where you're showing us the images of them being big, but, like, the way they move, the way they destroy things, like, they don't feel like a force of nature. They just feel like bad CGI for the most part. Snex says, Hail Drinker and panel, I'd like to recommend The Boy and the Heron, newest Hayao Miyazaki film. The story was a little confusing, but the animation was amazing. Cheers. Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about it. Jay Fraser says, plug for my Letterboxd profile, Jake Fraser, where I've compiled lists for fans to keep up with the reviews of Drinker, Mauler, and many others. It includes Unbridled Series, EFAP Movies, Drinker Recommends, and Extra Shots. Thank you very much. Cheers. Onibaka says, guys, you should probably stick to critiquing Star Wars. Kaiju films seems to be out of y'all's range, or at least watch more Godzilla films. Well... we just can't wrap our minds around.
It's too complicated. I saw someone in my Discord saying it's really annoying watching like Drinker, Mauler, and the others talk about Godzilla because it's the same as if you have this legend arriving on like a wrestling sort of circuit, and your friend who hasn't seen any of this before starts to judge his abilities as is, as opposed to respecting everything that came before and why he's there and who he is and what he's doing. They're just judging his skill for what it is. And, it's really sad to see. And I just saw that. I was like, you mean we don't have your biases?
Exactly.
which is
Like
just
the whole
fine, man. Like we're just so happy to judge a film without having to be like we have to judge it in context of everything else. We like Godzilla films. We've seen plenty of them, not necessarily all the ones you want us to see, but at the same time, it's like, what are you suggesting? That like we would like it more or like it less if we had seen other Godzilla films? Like we're trying to judge it for what it is and what it stands on its own. -1 was very impressive. The fucking Western Godzilla movies are a joke.
Yeah, agreed. Marcus 1990 says, "Hey Drinker, how much do you think the quality of your home setup, a good TV, sound system, couch, etc., affects how you experience a film TV show?" I mean, not really at all. Like, fucking hell, if you have a fucking TV with a screen on it that's capable of making images, you can enjoy the film. Like, yeah, okay, like having a bigger screen, I don't know, makes you able to pretend a bit more like you're in a cinema, but like I don't really, I'm not a total like audiophile where I need to have like some amazing sound bar and like 8-point surround sound or anything like that, or you know, like the biggest flat screen TV I can get. Like it's just not that big of an issue for me. Like the more important aspect of a movie is the writing aspects of it, is the characters. It's what the story that's being told, not how it looks necessarily. So yeah, I don't think it's too big of a deal for me. Cannon Folderall says, "Drinker and Mauler, love the Star Trek 3 watch video. Please do Star Trek 4. Please do Star Trek 4, and so on and so forth. Too bad new stuff to discuss is lame. Cheers, lads." Well, we are going to do 4, so
Yeah,
we'll do the one with the whales. Orca says, "The new Star Wars director clip is old and irrelevant to Star Wars directing. I think it's perfectly fair to make sexist men uncomfortable. The problem is the bar of what is sexist. Hi, Rags. Oops. Moobler." Yeah, I mean, we said as much. Obviously, we tackled it in a previous open bar. Look into it a bit deeper, and you know, you understand, like, okay, this was something that was recorded like 10 years ago, and it was relating to something very different, which is why I made a video about it. So, I mean, that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily hold that against her in this case. The bigger issue, though, I suppose, is why are you choosing like a documentary activist filmmaker as the person to direct a Star Wars movie? It just doesn't seem like a natural fit. Nostalgia for Days says, "Go get something nice at the flea market." Thanks, I'll try. Tabs says, "Put a chick in it and make her lame." Well, Disney are doing their best. JDB says, "It seems to me the only hope for the MCU is for Captain Marvel to become the villain. Do you think they will ever consider this? Not in a million fucking years would they do something like that. But it would actually be kind of a neat idea. Like, if you're talking about gimmicks to like generate a little bit of interest, I think a lot of people would probably like to see Captain Marvel get destroyed." So
it's the most normal fucking decision to make at this point. If we were brought on for like the Avengers movie, I would probably be like, all right, whoever villain we get, Doctor Doom, Galactus, whoever, we're probably going to open with them annihilating Captain Marvel. Like, it would have to be that.
yeah, I'd say so.
And I think that if someone said, like, we'll not kill it, right? I'd be like, are we allowed to? Like, I mean,
if it's on the table, like,
I'm just saying.
But yeah. Jose Wales says, "Anthony Hopkins in The Edge. Watch it again." I have watched it several times, I think. It's got him and Alec Baldwin in it.
Yeah.
And it's quite a decent little movie. Nice little survival film. Tommy Ooh says, "What are your thoughts on a -1 prequel with the creepy little agile Godzilla-saurus from the beginning terrorizing villages at night?" I mean, if you can get some good characters in it, you could probably do something with that. I guess the appeal of Godzilla is the fact that he is so fucking massive, and you know, it makes for a good spectacle. But you could have a smaller, more like intimate story about that. But then if it's a prequel, you obviously know they're not going to kill him. Anthony Losego says, "Lucy and Transcendence came out in December 2014 and both bombed, yet I think they were eventually celebrated. Or were they? Same ideas." So is Lucy the Scarlett Johansson one?
They're not the same ideas. I've seen both of those. So Lucy is when I think Morgan Freeman, the scientist, unlocks the ability for you to use more than... They do the meme of like, we only use 10% of our brains.
Yeah.
If we used 100, we'd be super people. And that's what she does. Transcendence is a man who's like unlocked the technology to transfer our consciousness digitally, is poisoned because an assassin tries to kill him, type thing. And then he's the first to engage in this project, and he gradually starts to take control of like lots of systems and make the world a better place, quote unquote. I think, and then they have to decide whether or not they're going to shut him down. Was
it Johnny Depp that was in Transcendence?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know them. Yeah, Lucy I thought was kind of absurd, and yeah, it just became ridiculous at a certain point.
I think Lucy's like an acronym for the technology or something, but I could be mixing them up. I think I'm on point with those two, because like I remember seeing them both and not liking them both, but like, you know, that's fine.
OMG Puppy says Anthony Hopkins was in Titus, a nice adaptation of the play by Julie Taymor. Taymor did The Tempest with Helen Mirren, and to tie this in with sci-fi, Forbidden Planet was adapted from The Tempest. Well, there you go. Nice little circle there. Dean Domino says, I know it's been said before, but I'll say it as well. Mueller watched The Wire. Great series, interesting characters, and has a go-to example of show don't tell. McNulty and Bunk looking at a murder scene.
Joe, me and Fringy have agreed to watch The Wire and Sopranos together, and every time we're like about to sort of start it, we're like, oh, but we need to watch this or this other film, this other TV show, or this other, and then we're like, are you sure you want to start like a 6-7 season TV show right now? And it's like, we will. We're gonna pull the trigger any second now, I swear.
Brian Burrows says, no drinker, I did not see you playing with your dolls again. I mean, no, sure, yeah, I play with them all the time. Ovidu says, any thoughts on Reacher Season 2? I'll have some thoughts for you once I've seen it. Nate says, you guys are the highlight of my week. No, thanks.
No.
Drinker, thanks for recommending One Piece. I'm not an anime fan, but I loved it. Muller, your Ahsoka video was genius. Your video essays are brilliant.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Philip Daly says, would Disney consider casting Jesus as a woman if they made a movie about him, in your opinion? Absolutely. Yeah, I think they would definitely do that. Yeah. Goob says, I washed the bad taste of Echo's fight choreography out with a Jackie Chan movie. Good choice. Rumble in the Bronx. I think it's worth an extra shot or even a happy hour. Commando tier ridiculous fun. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's obviously done so many amazing fight scenes in, like, Christ, if you look at his filmography, obviously not counting just the American ones, but like all the Hong Kong stuff he's done, he's been in fucking hundreds of movies. He should have died like dozens of times over, the amount of injuries he's taken, but he just keeps going. So yeah, it's impressive stuff. Bomber44 says, short and sweet, have any of you seen One Shot with Scott Adkins? One Shot, is he a sniper in that? Don't think I've seen it. JDB says, hail film tards, what's this I hear about a Lord of the Rings remake incoming? I don't think they're doing that, are they?
Could you imagine? Ugh.
I mean, yeah, I would imagine the fan backlash would be large and sustained.
Yes.
King of the Bluegrass, watch Blue Eye Samurai, big time girl boss show. Never noticed, just thought what a great fucking show. Are you listening, Disney? Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? Pete asks one of the ultimate questions. Could a fart from Superman kill Batman?
Has Batman got prep time?
Nah, because farts tend to be quite spontaneous, don't they? So
is he facing him, or is you know, this is important?
Yeah. I think well, let's assume it's a weaponized fart, so he's facing towards him and he's like, I'm gonna get you with this.
We can assume Batman's got his armor on, but I don't know if that'll be enough.
Yeah, I think it could probably take him. Yeah,
and it's really it's a great setup for a very powerful, like, emotional scene, I would say.
Oh yeah. I always wondered how Superman shaves.
They show it on the animated version. He uses his laser eyes.
Laser eyes on his own face?
Yep, he like reflects in like a mirror or something, and he burns off the little hairs. It's the only thing powerful enough to do it, I'm sure.
That's pretty good. Well, that was the last one. So I want to say thanks to you guys for doing that, for sending all these awesome super chats. It's appreciated as it always is. And Muller and I are going to head off, get ready for our stream with Star Wars Theory. It's going to be starting pretty soon. So, yeah, thank you for that. And that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.